listening to the Metal Command Podcast.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Metal Command Podcast. Tony here with you, and welcome to 2023, the first podcast episode of 2023. This year also marks the 25th anniversary of me doing my radio show, which I started back in 1998. So I've been doing this for 25 years now. I never thought I'd be around this long, but I am. And I've really enjoyed being able to promote a lot of these albums, being able to interview a lot of the artists that have impacted me personally. And it's been a great ride over this last 25 years. I'm going to continue on for as long as I can until maybe I drop dead. But nevertheless, I'm going to continue doing this as long as I am alive. So with that being said, this is also going to be my Album of the Month podcast. That's how I'm going to start it off this year. I'm going to start it off on a positive note. And it's the new Ripper EP, Return to Death Row. This is my album of the month for January of 2023. It is well-deserved. It is an amazing record. I'm going to break it down and talk about it and talk about Ripper Owens as well, because I really like Tim. Tim is a great vocalist, and so I'm going to get into that now. Ever since Tim left Iced Earth, one of the things I've loved about his work is the fact that he hasn't really confined himself to like one band. You know, like he sang in Judas Priest and then he was singing in Iced Earth. But ever since Iced Earth, he has done a lot of different stuff. You know, like Beyond Fear, A New Revenge, Charred Walls of the Damned, The Three Tremors. You kind of get where I'm going with that. And the fact that he's done this, he has not only branched out and worked with a lot of different musicians, but I personally believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I listen to his stuff, working with all these different musicians, I know personally myself, when I've worked with different musicians in the past, I became a better singer and a better vocalist, because Tim, when you listen to him sing, and I can attest to this by watching the Three Tremors live a couple years ago, this man has not lost anything on his voice at all. Like nothing. You know, like some guys get older, they start losing it. They can't hit all the notes they used to be able to hit. Not Tim. Tim has lost nothing. In fact, I think he has become a much better singer than he was maybe in Judas Priest or even Iced Earth. And of course, that's my opinion. But in my opinion, I think he's gotten a lot better. So with that being said, we have this new EP here, and that the vocal performance he delivers on this is absolutely amazing. It's got, looks like it was produced by Jamie Jasta and Nick Belmore. Jamie Jasta, of course, you know, he's a pretty well-known musician out there in the metalverse, as I call it. And so he produced the album, and it's got a great production, great performances. The songs are phenomenal. And Tim's vocal delivery is great. Now, where would I rank this? Because I had to think about this for a minute. Where would I rank this on, like, if I was stuck on an island and I had to pick 5 albums that Tim Ripper Owens sang on, which ones would I bring with me? Which ones would I wish that I had with me? It's not in any order, but I could tell you, I'll tell you the 5 records. This one is definitely one of them. So obviously the EP would be there. The Beyond Fear album would definitely be on there. KK's Priest. It's really hard to refute or not have that one on there. Not only was that album awesome, but clearly KK Downing hasn't lost any edge on his playing either when you listen to that. But the EP, Beyond Fear, KK's Priest, the first Three Tremors album is definitely on there. That record is just sick. And one that may surprise you that I absolutely loved was A New Revenge. So those 5 albums would be on my, like, if I'm stuck on an island, which albums would I want by Tim? So you might ask yourself, why no Judas Priest or Iced Earth? And I'll talk about that in a little bit, because I'm going to talk about the EP a little bit more. So basically, this came out back in, I came out really in late 2022. I really didn't get a chance to review it. I had it sitting around. I listened to it once, but then once I actually sat down and listened to this, I listened to it for like actually listened where I was paying more attention. I listened to this album 2 days straight. I was listening to it here at home. I was listening to it in the car. I was listening to it while at work. I mean, it was nonstop for 2 days. And it's a very heavy in-your-face record. It's not, like when I talk about a New Revenge, it's that's a little more of a melodic type thing going on. KK's Priest has a nice, modern Judas Priest vibe to it. This album is heavy. I mean, it is in your face. Like, for example, the Three Tremors album he sang on was pretty crazy as well. This is kind of a different kind. This is a different kind of crazy because, like, Die While We're Alive. I mean, just the song goes from 0 to 110 miles an hour, and it's really, really that good. So, not a bad song on this EP. If you like Tim's voice, if you like what he did with Priest and Iced Earth and all of the other projects that he's done, in the last, 25, 26 years, then definitely pick this EP up. Now, some of you might say, well, why wouldn't the Judas Priest albums be on your list? And I do like those albums. I actually do. And, to me, I think that as a musician, a lot of times musicians evolve. They get better. And although those two records I feel were pretty good, Jugulator was good, and Demolition. In fact, Demolition was the first real, studio album Priest put out that I really promoted on my show. That would have been, I don't remember what year it was, 2000 or 2001. I can't remember now. But Demolition was definitely a great record as well. A little bit different. And I do like those albums. But I think a lot of the stuff Tim's done lately is better than what he has done in the past. With the Iced Earth album's pretty good. Pretty awesome, actually. I like Framing Armageddon probably a little bit better than Glorious Burden. And overall, like I said, in my opinion, this EP is in my top 5 albums as far as anything Tim has done. So I will say this. There's another reason I like his voice a lot. He can do this balls out, like the stuff he did in Priest, the balls out Judas Priest-esque vocals, as you can call them. He could probably obviously do that in his sleep. It sounds great. But the one thing I've liked about him, he's not a singer that just has that high register. He could sing at the lower registers with a lot of power behind his voice. And he actually does that in here. And he did that a lot on the Jugulator album in parts too. And I think that's part of the reason why I liked that record. Judas Priest obviously has never done the same album because Demolition had a few more industrial vibes to it. The song Subterfuge being my favorite song on the album. But his voice is pretty dynamic. And I remember this crappy review somebody did about one of the albums he sang on. And I think it said something along the lines that Tim had no capability of singing melodic at all. And I could tell you that that's BS, because if you listen to A New Revenge album, he sings very melodic on that. And that's actually one of the reasons I really like that vocalist. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about, where you work with all these different musicians, you branch out, you do different things to what you've normally done before. And I really feel that when he collaborates on something, collaborates on a project, it's that good because he has worked with so many different musicians out there. So this EP, it's in your face, it's heavy. If you like the song that they've posted on YouTube, you definitely want to get this. If you've liked what Tim has done before, especially when he's done real heavy, crazy stuff like, say, Charred Walls of the Damned or the Three Tremors, you'll like this. Now, this album doesn't sound like any of those two bands, but this is a little more modern sounding, a lot heavier. It's in your face. And I have to tell you, that gets a 10 out of 10 in my book. So that probably does it for my review roundup and, of course, my album of the month. It's well-deserved. Tim is a phenomenal vocalist. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I could say he's from my area, because I think he only lives like 40 minutes from where I am. And, he's just, it's funny when you talk to him and you meet him, he's just a regular guy from Ohio, like when you're talking to him, real down to earth, really cool dude. I finally met him for the first time back in 2020. I know it sounds crazy because he's not far from me, but I really never met him until the Three Tremors played in Akron. So really cool dude. And this is well-deserved for Album of the Month to start off 2023. So with that said, thanks for watching. I have a lot of episodes I'm going to be posting on the channel, a lot more than last year, because I'm really bringing every podcast here now. And I look forward to bringing you the next episode of the Metal Command podcast. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.